जी डॉक्टर।
जी. Assalamu alaikum class. Hope you all are doing well. Sorry for the disruption of the network. Last time we discussed the remaining part of epidemiology of dental caries and epidemiology of oral cancer. And today's our topic of discussion is on epidemiology of periodontal disease. So, what we are going to discuss today, we are going to discuss what is periodontal disease, how the periodontal disease will progress, and its epidemiological triad that includes host factors, agent, and environmental factors. First, we need to know that what is periodontal disease. What is periodontium? So periodontium is basically consists of four structures. It includes gingiva, alveolar bone, cementum, and periodontal ligament (PDL). So all these structures form a periodontium, as you can see in the picture. Now comes to the periodontal disease. What is periodontal disease? As the name shows, it's a disease of periodontium. So it's basically an inflammatory disease that affects the soft and hard structures that support the teeth. So it's basically the disease of tooth supporting structures. In its early stage, it will be called gingivitis. As you all know, gingivitis is basically the inflammation of gums. Gums become swollen and red due to inflammation, which is the body's natural response to presence of harmful bacteria in your oral cavity. So, disease basically which attack the supporting structures of teeth, as I told you before, the supporting structures. This disease is basically of two main types. It will be represent in two forms. One is gingivitis, those which attack the gingiva. It will be known as gingivitis. Gingivitis is inflammation of gums. And those which involve chronic and progressive destruction of periodontal membrane and alveolar bone will be termed as periodontitis. So, two forms of the disease, one is gingivitis and the second is periodontitis. Gingivitis is basically early stages of periodontal disease, early stages of gum disease in which gums become swollen and red. But when this disease progress and becomes chronic, it will involve periodontal membrane and alveolar bone, and it will be known as periodontitis. Now we will just go through the sign and symptoms of gingivitis and periodontitis. When we talk about gingivitis, it's a basically initial stage of gum disease. Okay, from there, from gingivitis, disease will start. Okay, the symptoms will include red or swollen gums. Gums will bleed when you floss or brush your teeth. In gingivitis, if left untreated, it will lead to definitely periodontitis. And when gingivitis will left untreated, it will progress into the advanced gum disease that will be known as periodontitis. And the symptoms will include teeth will become loose, and exposure of the tooth's root and sensitivity will start, and periodontitis can lead to the tooth loss if left untreated. Ultimately, um, teeth will become loosened and lost. These are the pictures of typical pictures of the cases of gingivitis and periodontitis. In gingivitis, you can see here marginal gingivitis is present, a lot of plaque retention and plaque accumulation on the tooth surface and under the gingival margin, and the gums become swollen and red, and they will definitely start bleeds when you apply any toothbrush. While in the case of periodontitis, if gingivitis will left untreated, you can see the periodontitis is just a chronic destruction of periodontal membrane and alveolar bone. You can see in the picture there is a hard calcified calculus, there is a plaque is present, and the main feature that you can see in the picture, there is a gum recession, bone loss is present. Gum resides from their original position apically. So these are the typical pictures of gingivitis and periodontitis. Now, how the gum disease progress? What are the different stages that are involved in the progression of gum disease? First, if we talk about healthy gums will be pink in color, okay? And there will be no bleeding of gums with the flossing and brushing of teeth. And the breath will be fresh without any odor or halitosis. In case of gingivitis, gums will be red and swollen. There will be bleeding with the flossing and toothbrushing, and possible bad breath or taste when you feel. But there will be no bone loss in gingivitis, no tooth mobility. So gingivitis is basically reversible. If you maintain your oral hygiene here, if you start visiting the dentist, if if you intervene at this stage of the disease by the possible intervention, you can reverse the condition at this stage. Then talk about early periodontitis. In early periodontitis, with all the previous features of gingivitis, there will be slight bone loss and possible tooth mobility will start. In moderate periodontitis, all the previous features plus moderate bone loss and tooth mobility and root exposure. There will be a gum recession that will start and tooth sensitivity will start because of the exposure of sensitive area of the tooth. And in the last, in advanced periodontitis, all the previous features, red swollen gums, bleeding on flossing and toothbrushing, persistent bad breath or taste, severe bone loss, and severe tooth mobility and root exposure with the possible tooth loss. Okay. Now here at this stage, teeth will be lost. Teeth will come out from the oral cavity. So this is how the gum disease will progress. Now comes to the changing perception of periodontal disease. There are many perception when we go through the different studies about periodontal disease. First perception is severe periodontitis was seen only in small proportion of population, whereas mild and mild to moderate gingivitis were more common in the population. Second is gingivitis and periodontitis are both associated with the bacterial flora that have some similarities but also some differences. Okay, gingivitis will lead to the periodontitis, but not all the sites with gingivitis later develop periodontitis. Third will be, though periodontal disease is usually related to age, but it's not a natural consequence of aging. It doesn't mean that it will happen naturally in every person. It doesn't. It is associated, it is related to the age, but not everyone will be affected by uh, this disease naturally. And last one is periodontal disease is not a major cause of tooth loss in adults. It's basically a major cause of tooth loss in older patients. Next is epidemiological triad of periodontal disease. First includes host factors. The disease is most commonly seen, periodontitis is most commonly seen in the people above the 40 years of age. when talk about sex, more common in males than females, maybe because of smoking. When talk about race, blacks are more affected than whites. This whole data or uh, uh, literature is shown by the previous studies. Okay. Now comes to the intraoral variations. When talk about intraoral variations, when talk about gingivitis is more seen. This is also n- because this is also here. Uh, I have written here. Uh, Previous studies shows this data. Okay, so gingivitis is more commonly seen on interproximal areas than buccal and lingual surfaces. There is the reason for that. The reason is because on the interproximal areas there will be more chances of food stagnation and accumulation of plaque on the interproximal surfaces because of the tight contacts between the teeth. So there are more chances of gingivitis because of the accumulation of plaque on the interproximal areas than buccal and lingual areas. Studies also shows that upper arch shows more gingivitis than the lower arch except on the lingual surface. When we talk about on facial aspect, upper first and second molar, आमना
जी
next slide पे जाएं
हाँ
please.
जी डॉक्टर
When talk about facial aspect, upper first and second molar more prone to gingivitis, followed by lower anteriors and least in lower second premolar. And on the lingual aspect, lower first and second molar will be more prone to gingivitis, followed by lower premolar and least in upper anteriors. As a whole, gingivitis will be most often seen on the right arch than on the left arch. This is what the previous studies shows. Uh, in endocrine changes in the conditions where hormonal level ups and downs, like in at the age of puberty, menstruation, hyperthyroidism, or hyperparathyroidism. There will be a hormonal imbalance in these conditions. Inflammatory markers will be disturbed, so there will be increased chances of gingivitis in these cases. In traumatic occlusion, because of any sharp cusp that will act as a plunger that will put continuous pressure on periodontium, it may lead to the periodontitis. Food impaction, definitely the points, the areas in our oral cavity, most hitting areas are interproximal areas where there are more chances of food accumulation. If food impaction will be there, then there will be increased chances of gingivitis and periodontitis. And talk about tooth position, irregular alignment of teeth, malalignment, malocclusion. In cases of malocclusion, there will be increased chances of food accumulation and debris. There will be very difficult to clean that areas. There will be increased chances of periodontal diseases in malaligned teeth or irregular alignment of the teeth. When talk about occupational habits, the parafunctional habits like thread biting, holding nails between teeth, what basically happens, it basically put uh, uh, continuous pressure or traumatic effect on periodontium. When you clench your teeth, when you put your nail between the teeth, it will continuously put pressure on your periodontium, and because of that continuous abnormal pressure, your periodontium will get hurt and it will lead to the periodontal diseases. Again, neurosis. In cases of neurosis, bruxism, lip, cheek, and nail biting. Bruxism is the basically night grinding. वो लोग जिन्हें रात को दांत क्लिंच करने की आदत होती है, In that case, they also put continuous pressure on their periodontium. So that's why there will be increased chances of periodontal diseases in that people. So they must use any habit breaking appliances to break this habit. Use of tobacco, many studies shows that the people who have tobacco or who are the smokers, their tissue resistance will become low and they are more prone to periodontal diseases. Aggressive toothbrushing is also a factor. If you brush your teeth aggressively, if you misuse your brush, if you use brush improperly, then it can cause abrasion and recession of gingival tissue, and it may also irritate the already inflamed tissue, and your gum will get precise, bone will be exposed, so there are more chances of periodontal diseases in the people who aggressively use their toothbrush. In concomitant diseases like uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, there are increased chances of periodontal diseases due to the uncontrolled blood sugar levels. इसके अलावा in heavy metal poisoning, it can also accentuate the periodontal disease. When talked about income, periodontal disease increases when the income decreases. Reason is the same. I told you previously, because when you are low income people, you have less provision to the oral healthcare service. You because of the low income, you have to fulfill basic necessities of your life. So oral health become the will not be your priority. So because of that, you will not maintain your oral hygiene, you will not have enough money to spend on your oral health. That's why when the income decreases, oral periodontal disease will increases. Same as in the case of education, uneducated people, in case of uh, mm, uh, in case of uneducated people, there will be increased chances of periodontal disease, because uneducated people will be unaware of uh, uh, good oral hygiene practices. They will not follow the proper oral hygiene practices. They will be illiterate. Because of that, they will not follow and maintain their oral hygiene. So, if in any country literacy rate, if rate will be low, there will be more chances of developing oral disease in that country. Now comes to the agent factors. Agent factors include plaque and calculus, two main components of two main agent factors of periodontal disease. What is plaque? Plaque is basically it's soft deposits that form the biofilm adhering to tooth surface or other hard surfaces in the oral cavity. Like if you are wearing any partial denture or complete denture, if you are having any fixed restoration, plaque can also adhere to these surfaces. Disruption of balance between plaque, bacteria, and host results in periodontal disease. As you know, normally bacteria are present in our oral cavity, but any disruption in that balance will lead to the periodontal disease. Now, there are two types of dental plaque. One is supragingival plaque and the second is subgingival plaque. As the name indicates, supragingival is bacteria adherent above the gingiva. Okay. the plaque that you can see on the tooth surface, okay? And the subgingival plaque bacteria below the gingiva, under surface of the gingiva, that will be subgingival plaque. Marginal plaque is along the margins of the gingiva that will be responsible for gingivitis. And supragingival and tooth associated subgingival plaque will be responsible for calculus and root caries. And tissue associated subgingival plaque will be responsible for periodontitis. Okay. What will be the common sites of accumulation of plaque? Common sites will be gingival 1/3 of the tooth surface. Okay. Cracks, if there are cracks present on the enamel. Pit and fissures, if there are any deep pit and fissures. Overhanging restorations margins, and around malaligned teeth. These are basically the common sites for the accumulation of dental plaque. And rate of formation and location vary according to the oral hygiene practices, diet, salivary composition, and its rate of flow. If definitely if you have abundant of saliva in your oral cavity, and if its rate of flow is high, then because of its flushing action, it flushes out all the debris. So it's basically dependent on the salivary composition and its rates of flow. Now comes to the calculus. Calculus is basically a calcified plaque. When the plaque become calcified or mineralized, it will take the form of calculus. So it's adherent calcified mass that forms on the surface of the natural teeth and dental prosthesis, and it consists of mineralized plaque. It also having two types, supragingival and subgingival calculus. Supragingival, that adherent to surfaces coronal to the free gingival margin, because it is supragingival, so it will be coronal to the free gingival margin. And subgingival, this calcareous deposits found on the tooth apically to the gingival margin, because it's subgingival, so it will become apically to the gingival margin. So what are the features of supragingival calculus? Supragingival calculus will be white or whitish yellow in color. Its common sites will be upper first molar followed by the lower central or laterals. It will be least in upper incisors and can be easily detached. Supragingival calculus can be easily detached. And when we compare supragingival calculus with the subgingival calculus will be dark brown or greenish black in color, or it will be more hard. And its common sites will be lower centrals and laterals, followed by the upper molar, upper anteriors, and upper second molars. And it will be least in lower first and second premolar and lower third molar. You can see the pictures of supragingival calculus and subgingival calculus. As we go through the differences between supragingival and subgingival, you can your mind will be clear by seeing this picture. Supragingival calculus is whitish yellowish in color. It looks soft. It can be easily detached during cleaning of the teeth. Okay, while talking about the subgingival calculus, you can see it is blackish brown in color. It is hard. Okay, and it is present apical to the gingival margin. Okay, now comes to the environmental factors. In environmental factors, first, geographic variation. In underdeveloped and dentist deprived areas, there will be increased periodontal disease. I have told you the reason many times, because in underdeveloped and dentist deprived areas where dentist population ratio is less, there are more chances of having the all the oral diseases, not only periodontal disease, because they don't have any provision to the oral healthcare services. They don't maintain their oral hygiene. That's why there are more chances of periodontal diseases there. In nutrition, deficiency of vitamin C, niacin, vitamin A deficiency, and protein malnutrition will lead to periodontal diseases. Vitamin C is known for vitamin C deficiency is known for gum diseases, bleeding of gums. Degree of urbanization means rural population seems to suffer more from periodontal disease than urban population, because in the villages when we go towards rural areas, they basically don't practice the oral hygiene habits. They don't brush their teeth, they don't floss their teeth, although their diet is healthy when we compared with the people who are living in the cities. Although they are having good diet, they are having fresh milk, pure milk, they are having a lot of fruits and vegetables, they are having less junk food. But when we talk about periodontal diseases, they don't brush their teeth, they have their own myths. Okay, if we brush our teeth it's not good. uh, they do use maswak, and they do use दंदासा, एक किसी दरख्त की छाल होती है, वो ये चीजें यूज करते हैं. बट जनरली उनकी ओरल हाइजीन प्रैक्टिसेस जो हैं वो पुअर हैं. दैट्स व्हाई देयर आर इंक्रीज चांसेस ऑफ periodontal disease in villages or in rural areas. Yes, it is stress induced. There are so many types of gingivitis and periodontitis. It is stress induced. One type, that is acute necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis. When you will be in your next class, inshallah, in periodontology subject, you will read all these types in very detail. There is type that is called ANUG, acute necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis. It's basically stress induced, and it has been seen in military groups and the students who are undergoing the exam, because that time is a very stressed time. So this type of gingivitis is seen in that groups. Trends in Pakistan. Its prevalence is 80% of the population with moderate severity is seen in Pakistan. The periodontal health of the country is very poor. If we see generally, our country's periodontal health is very poor, with 28% of the 12 years old having healthy gums. Okay, only 28% of the 12 years old having healthy gums, and more than 93% of 65 years old have periodontal disease. So it is more common in the older age group people. This all these all values and these all figures, I have taken these from the oral health situation analysis that was done in 2004 by the Professor Dr. Ayaz Ali Khan in
Dr.
Pakistan.
Rabia,
So I have taken these figures from that. जी जी
10 minutes are left.
हाँ जी आप
ठीक है.
जी
Hello.
जी that's about हाँ हाँ we have ended with the lecture.
Okay.
That's all about the periodontal diseases, epidemiology of periodontal diseases. Inshallah, we will meet soon at 11:45 with another topic that will be epidemiology of malocclusion. Okay जी, तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.
Allah Hafiz. Okay, class attendance time now.